If you've drafted your own basic female trouser block but aren't sure how to turn it into a perfectly sewn pair of trousers, this video is for you. Today, I'll show you exactly how to layer your fabric, cut every piece accurately, and sew a professionally looking straight leg high-waisted trousers from start to finish. I'll also share the small sewing techniques that makes a huge difference in the final fit. So stay with me until the end. Welcome back to Kevin Stitch. Today we are transforming the basic female trouser pattern we drafted in our previous tutorial into a test garment. If you haven't watched the drafting video yet, I will link it up here in the card. I'll also link it in the description because today's tutorial follows directly from that pattern. Here is what you need for this video. Before placing your pattern pieces, always prepare your fabric properly. Wash and press the fabric first to remove shrinkage and wrinkles. Fold the fabric with the right side facing each other like so. Make sure the selvage is aligning properly. Someone will ask, what is the selvage of the fabric? The factory finish edge of the fabric is what we call the selvage of the fabric. I'm going to place the back side of the pattern onto the fabric first. Make sure the grain line, also known as the crease line, runs parallel to the selvage edge of the fabric. I am measuring from the grain line or the crease line to the selvage at both top and bottom to make sure that the pattern is perfectly straight down. After getting the pattern straight down on the fabric, go ahead and pin the pattern onto your fabric to be able to trace the pattern onto the fabric. This pattern does not have any seam allowance added to it. So, after tracing the actual pattern, go ahead and add all the necessary seam allowance you will need to join the pieces together. So, in my case, I'm just adding 1 inch seam allowance all through except the waist where I will just add 1/2 inch seam allowance. Once everything is pinned securely and all the necessary seam allowance have been added, it's time to cut. Rather than lifting the fabric as you cut, keep it flat on the table for clean, more accurate edges. When you are cutting your fabric too, be sure to cut long strokes. Don't forget to transfer your darts and all notches onto the fabric. Transfer your dart onto the fabric just like so. Repeat the same process for the front part of your trousers too, making sure that your crease line or the grain line is parallel to the selvage of your fabric. Pin, add all the necessary seam allowance, transfer your darts and notches, then cut out your pattern. Now take your front piece, that's the cut fabric, then pin your darts together to be able to sew your darts. So we have 2 darts for one side, that's 4 darts in total for the front. Be sure to match your notches, pin and take it to your sewing machine. Repeat the same process for the back part of the trousers too. So you take the extreme ends of the dart, then you bring them together, making sure that the middle dart leg is right in the middle. Then pin to the bottom of the dart, then take it to your sewing machine, then sew the dart. After pinning your dart, you have something like this. Take it to your sewing machine, then sew all the 8 darts. When sewing your dart, you start from the waist, then you sew off the fabric at the tip of the dart where you marked. After sewing your dart, leave a little thread tail so that you tie it later to secure your dart. After sewing the dart, this is what we have. Take the 2 thread tails, then tie a knot with it, then cut your thread tail just like so. take your dart and press it towards the center front or center back respectively. Now take your back piece and place it right side up just like so. Then take one of your front pieces, then place it on top, right side facing each other. Make sure to match all your notches, so the side seam notches, waist notches, hip notches. Make sure you match it all. Pin, then take it to your sewing machine and sew the side seam of your trousers using the seam allowance you added to your pattern. So in this case, I'm going to sew using 1 inch seam allowance. Now take the out seam of the front and back of the trousers, then pin them together just like so. Repeat the same process for the other part of the trousers too. For me to be able to wear these trousers, I'm going to add zipper on the side of the trousers. So I'll mark the length of the zipper on the side of the trousers. Then I will sew the rest of the seam. I'll start sewing from where I've now put in my pin down to the hem of the trousers. Make sure that your fabric is right side together. That's the right side of the front is facing the right side of the back. After sewing the out seam of the trousers, fix your zipper to one side of the piece, just like so. Place your zipper where you've allocated to insert your zipper. Make sure the front side of the zipper is facing the front side of the fabric. Then match the zipper teeth to the seam line or the crease line you've created on your fabric, just like so. Pin it in place, then take it to your sewing machine and sew. When you are sewing, sew very close to the teeth of the zip, but not on the zipper teeth. Repeat the same process for the other side of the zipper to insert your zipper. After fixing your zipper to one side of the out seam, then sewing the other side of the out seam, this is what you'll have. Now we need to sew the inseam of the trousers. So pull the front part of the trousers to match the back part of the trousers. As you can see, when we were drafting the pattern, the back side was bigger than the front. So see that your fabric, the back side is bigger than the front. That is not a problem. That's how the trousers have to be. So pull the front to match the seam, just like so. Then pin, take it to your sewing machine, then sew using the seam allowance you added. Repeat the same process for the other part of the trousers. So after sewing, this is what you have. So these are the two patterns after sewing the out seam and the inseam. Now we need to sew the crotch of the trousers. So turn one of your trousers right side out, just like so. Then the other one wrong side out. Now take one of the fabric, then place it into the leg of the trousers, just like so. Match the two seams at the inseam line. So you match those seams, pin it together so it will not shift as you keep on pinning the rest. Then you match the waist notches, the hip notches. Then match all your notches to make sure that everything is matching nicely. As you can see, the two are matching nicely. So after pinning, this is what I have. Take it to your sewing machine and sew using the seam allowance you added. After sewing, this is what you have. As you can see, everything is matching nicely. So this is the front and this is the back. And when you turn it to the right side, this is how it's supposed to look like. As you can see, the seams, everything is matching nicely. Now, you need to finish the waist and then the hem. So you can just fold your hem twice. So since I added 1 inch to the hem, I'll fold ½ inch. Then I'll fold ½ inch again to hem the down part of the trousers. And for the waist, there are different ways you can finish the waist. You can either use a facing to finish the waist, or you can use a waistband to finish the waist. So whichever one you want to use is totally fine. Now that we've learned how to sew a perfectly fitted basic trousers, in my next video, we are going to transform this simple block into one of the most fashionable trouser style right now, the trendy barrel pants. You might be surprised to discover it only takes a few clever pattern adjustments to create that distinctive curved silhouette. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. If this video have been helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on your post notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Share so that other people can also find the videos. Until next time, bye bye.